Howdy, howdy, folks. Got a World of Warships Legends match today in the Cheshire. This is, or Cheshire, whatever. Um, there's not a particular reason for this apart from I do have a goal just over time. Probably honestly never get to it, but get a video of a good game and like pretty much every ship that I have. Um, just spread it out a little bit, and also just if I ever run across someone that's like, oh, like, hey, how do you build this ship or how do you play this ship? I can be like, ah, this is how I did it. Take what you like, get rid of what you don't. Uh, yeah, Cheshire. It is an interesting ship. It has fantastic AA. It is, I'll say, maybe like surprisingly maneuverable for its size. I won't go all the way to saying it's maneuverable, but it can actually turn. It has really weird acceleration in my experience. I haven't done any like, metric testing on it to really test it out, but from what it feels like to me is that like it's really slow, or like it has a weird like slow part in the middle. Um, it's just weird. I don't, I don't have anything else to say about it apart from that. What else? So it's got good AA. It's got the what are they? 250? No, 234 caliber guns. Like as designed, this thing was like, oh, a cruiser killer, but realistically, yeah, I find that this ship is just broadly underwhelming. It's not all the way to bad. It can do some stuff. Actually, are they 254 or 234s? I'm gonna go check the caliber on the guns because I think there may be some ships that it actually does overmatch, which can be beneficial, but honestly, it's problematic. So give me a second. I'll just go take a screenshot of the gun stats, and we'll get back to this guy. All right, so we'll just do a bit of a live run through on this. This is oops. This is the build that I'm running, pure scum for this. I do have Farncombe on here. Obviously, Cheshire doesn't have it, but I've been running this on Nottingham because, hey, it's got the ridiculous armor. Might as well cheese it all away. um, and I think, yeah, like I've got Lip and then Lip. Yeah, so I just had Lip on the other two, just messing with other stuff. I played one game in it. It's like I have tons of Commander XP anyway, but I'm not gonna waste it. So yeah, the Cheshire, it's an interesting ship. 234, okay, 234 millimeter guns. Um, it doesn't have an amazing reload. The HE is like a little high, but it's not high enough to make up for it. AP damage is a little high, but again, it's only 6 barrels. Got a relatively long reload. Fully standard, like everything is just kind of blah standard about it. It doesn't starts with decent pin, but doesn't like keep amazing pin or anything. Muzzle velocity's fine. Let's see. It's got the torps. AA is one of the things that stands out about the Cheshire, but we'll actually talk about that a little bit in the match too. If you look at this, that long range, the 5 kilometer, I'm pretty sure the way it works is anything over 100 millimeters is going to be flak. Anything under that is generally not. Flak like does high burst damage, but if they avoid it or it doesn't hit for whatever reason, it's generally lower. So it's got a fair amount of damage in its short range AA, and without a AA focused build, it doesn't really, it's going to shoot down planes, but you don't have like an AA bubble. That's something with longer, more consistent AA is going to do. So it can be an AA platform, but you build into the AA, and then those 6 barrel guns with a long reload like really start to be problematic. They're already a little problematic. You see, it's got quite a short rudder shift for what it is, but part of that is because it just gets the British rudder in slot 2. Concealment is good enough. Speed's good enough. The armor is actually pretty decent for a tier 6, except that it has the tier 6 problem that it's often going to be facing tier 7s, and it's good if you're angled, but most stuff at tier 7 is going to overmatch this big nose, and if you strip away any of that, you see that this is one of the biggest citadels in the game. And it has the shell catching step. Like, this thing is just asking to be deleted. You know, you're playing against tier 7s like, oh, I'm a little angled or something, like, oh, surprise, you get one right through the nose. You know, there's no stopping that. That thing's going right through. This thing's not amazing. I don't love it. How many? I don't even know how many games I've played. 19. It was pretty high win rate, but I've, you know, it's dropped. I've done whatever in it. I don't love it. I don't hate it. I think it's not an amazing ship. I don't think it's going to carry a lot of matches. I'm sure it has amazing fans out there, but in all honesty, like, it's just not that amazing of a ship. 234, so that overmatches. Let's see, let me just do the math real quick. Calculator. 234. Messed up. So 16? That's right. So does that overmatch? What? 13. Yeah. Okay, so it is the lightest blue. Maybe the one more. So anyway, it's got some overmatch. I know in some of the brawls people have been like, oh, use the Cheshire at overmatches. So it happens, but again, realistically, and to the point that I've made in other videos about other cruisers, like, you can theory craft your ideal scenario all you want. Like, oh, cool, you load into a match and it's just all Fijis and Belfast and they're all spotted all the time and they just sit still and let you shoot them. Like, great, that sounds amazing, but that's a training room. That's not a real match. You just don't run into that many light cruisers. You might see one and it might be on the other side of the map. So I don't find that overmatch particularly noteworthy on average. And the rest of just the damage output on this thing leaves me wanting. And then this British AP, this kind of like standard cruiser British AP, really just leaves me unimpressed a lot of the time. I get a lot of overpins. Let me just double check. Like, I think the Exeter is another ship that has a similar kind of problem, that it just like, yeah, just doesn't impress me. The AP, I get a lot of overpins. It doesn't have improved pin angles, which I particularly like, but Cheshire. Oh, one more thing about the stats. This heal, it might look like it heals a lot, but it's more or less a standard cruiser heal that is like a burst heal. So it's about 3 times as much healing per second, but about a third of the duration. Not exact, but yeah, close enough. It has it like Tiger 59 has a more proper actual super heal. You can see it lasts whatever, a little more than twice as long. So yeah, so back to the match. All right, thanks, pre-recorded me. Yeah, so we're back here. This is a 5-6 match. I don't know if I mentioned that. There is a carrier. You know, that's one of the things that I was looking for in this. I can't remember off the top of my head, this match was a little while ago, what the actual battleship layout in this is. I mean, and like, this is actually another thing that I've run into a lot with a lot of cruisers that are pretty good, and this stuff is like, I see a lot of war spites and Mutsus and stuff these days. Is that there's just been so many crate ships given out. You know, it used to feel like there was a lot of, oh yeah, I think that was a pin from the Issei. Even though, like, I'm pretty angled there, like, your armor's not going to make you invincible. What was I saying? Oh yeah, it used to feel like you would get a lot of 14-inch guns in a tier 5 match. You know, it's like, oh, if you bounce 14-inch, you're fine. That's not my experience as much these days. I don't play a lot of lower tiers. I play, you know, mostly 7 and up. I do dip down to dabble, do the weekly stuff, hit a torp on that. The torps are pretty long range, and then, like, yeah, we get the fire. So, like, this isn't a ship that can't do anything. I just really find that compared to a lot of its peers, it can struggle to put out the damage that you might need to carry a match, and it can be really inconsistent. Yeah, you can do an overmatch deletion on a light cruiser, but you can also get all overpins or bounce off the, you know, the lower belt. Like, you're shooting at HE, and we'll see that a few times in this. It's like, oh, and like, you don't get a fire, you don't get a fire, you get 2 fires, the DCP, you don't get a fire, you don't get a fire, repeat. Like, yeah, 4 hits, no fire, and it's just, okay, so I did, you know, I did a little bit, but there's a lot more to go. trying to get the torps back in. It has good torp firing angles. I honestly think as bad as I am with torpedoes, there are definitely games in this that I do... Where's my bounces? I do more damage with the torps than I do with the guns. Another thing to mention about it is, as I've taken a few chunk damages in this engagement, you know, it's got shell catching faces. It's very big. You can see it's quite high above the water, and so it's like if you can bounce, you know, that can be good, but it's still got a huge superstructure. It's just a big chunky ship. I mean, oh yeah, like that. I took a full pin off something. I think that little like wing stick out there, Citadel. I don't know if I just over angled there. I thought I was safe with the double pin angle scum that I've got running. Like literally, I'm running, you know, almost 10 degrees of bonus pin resistance, and I still took a Citadel there. So, if you're not running that, good luck. Firing angles aren't amazing. Again, this is just a ship that I pretty consistently am like, you know, of the matches that I've played, it's just like, what? Why would I play this over something like the New Orleans or the Asturias? And actually, Asturias is a great counterpoint to this. The Asturias is like, does everything that the Cheshire wants to do, but way better. I find it's tankier because it's so much smaller. I think it, you know, might technically have slightly worse armor, but it's similar. Weaker upper belt, but can bounce on lower belt 15-inch guns. Is way more consistent with the guns. It's a longer reload, but you know, you're going to be putting out 16 shots per reload rather than 6. Here, you know, I probably could just switch to the AP on the Nuremberg. I believe I should overmatch him. But the reload is so long. I'm constant. This is a ship that I'm underwhelmed by. You can make it work. I make it work in this one. And it does have strengths. And I think in certain modes, I wasn't a fan of it in the brawls. Like I'd rather go with the improved pin angles and just better overall handling and consistency on the New Orleans than trying to just go all in on the overmatch of light cruisers, because if you don't face a light cruiser, like, what are you doing? But it can be fun in the right circumstance. If you get a good carrier match where you get a carrier just dumping planes on you, that can be fun. The AA can do it, but as you can see in this match, like, the carrier has been overhill here a little bit. Not fully focusing me, but I'm only shot down 8 planes, and it's like, you can do that at a Pensacola or a New Orleans, a Helena, Boise. Like, there's just a lot of other ships at the tier that could just as easily pull that off. Or even if you shot down 4 planes instead of 8, like, does that make any difference at all for anyone in this game? Like, no. Just like, no, we lost spot. I went and double checked, and you cannot put prop mod on this thing, which I actually think would make it like, oh yeah, look at this acceleration in this like kind of mid-range is so painfully slow. To my point about there being Mutsus and stuff out earlier that I said earlier, like, here's a Mutsu tier 5 battleship that overmatches everything. I believe he is firing HE, so it wouldn't matter. But again, just to that point of like, I think some of the strengths that it might have had in the past of like, oh, like, you're actually pretty resistant in a 5-6 match, you can tank a lot of battleships. I just don't know that that's really true anymore. Yeah, give it prop mod. I think that might go a long way. I don't think it doesn't need, you know, if you took rudder slot 2 off, it would still have like a 8.5 rudder or something, whatever that would be. Oh yeah, in West Virginia, yeah, look, like the 2 battleships that are left of the 3, I get bounced 1 battleship in this match. That's not worth it. But yeah, give it prop mod. That might help a little bit. If you run with a division, but again, it's like, you have to do, if you're going to run with a carrier, which I think it can be good into carriers, you're running a scum division of a tier 5 carrier with a tier 6 ship. So like, oh, do you really want to do that? Is that what you want to do to get your wins in the Cheshire? I don't think so. I don't want to do that. Yeah, apart from that, like, it's just unimpressive. But to the, you know, the point of this match and why I've made this one, you really can make any ship in this game work, and I think that's a credit to the developers. As you know, there's certainly head-scratching developments on all sides of monetization and different things. I'm really just constantly amazed at how well balanced this game really is for how many ships there are that are really quite different and are, you know, balanced around so many different parameters and in different ways. Like, there are really pretty few outright bad ships in the game. I think this is one of the ships that is, in a lot of ways, as close as you can get, and is still not really that bad. Like, I don't really take the Cheshire out much. I can't even remember why I took it out on this one, you know, for the weekly win in Tier 6, I'm sure, but maybe just, you know, oh, I haven't played this ship in a while. Can I get a good game in it? Let's see what happens. The end of this is pretty slow. We're just kind of sailing around, trying not to get dev struck. Would like to get some planes shot down from this, trying to get the AA on the destroyers, but again, you can see to my point earlier about the lack of range on the more direct damage. AA is like, because I'm not right on top of the destroyers, my ability to kind of keep them safe is limited. The carrier sent a squadron over here, and you can see, like, once he does, I actually start shooting down the plane. So it's like, you know, it's there. Just know its limits. I think I have run it maybe once with AA build, but again, because you don't have a tier 6 carrier, so unless you can guarantee a carrier by queuing with a tier 5, which you know, it's the way the game works, but it's also like, that just feels so scummy to me. I would just never do that. I just couldn't. I just couldn't. It just feels so bad. So outside of that, like, you just hope. You hope it's a tier 5 carrier, and you hope it might come your way. And if you've got an AA build, like, you know, these guns can be unreliable anyway, and it's just like the whole thing. Uh-oh, Dev Strike on the Colorado. This is the thing it also, you know, you always have to look out for. I've been trying to kind of keep an eye on that West Virginia to make sure he doesn't have an angle on me, because I know this thing is a Dev Strike magnet. This match looks like we've got a handle on it, but if that Ryujo starts hitting drops on these destroyers, you know, they could go down pretty quickly, and like, this thing can flip. But like, okay, now I feel a little more comfortable. You never want to get too greedy, so farm down the Ryujo. We don't get the final kill, but that's fine. Oh, but then the Hyuga goes down, so, you know, it's never over until it's over. What am I checking out? My detectability, maybe? I can't remember. Yeah, just 10. Top to bottom, this ship is problematic. I wouldn't advise it. I'm sure I got this in a crate at some point, or like with a big coupon or something. I don't remember when I picked it up. I definitely went through a phase where I was very curious about a lot of these lesser played ships. You know, what am I missing? Why don't people play them more? What are the problems? And so part of the reason I'm making this video is if anybody is curious about this thing because you don't see it a lot, or because it's not played a lot, you know, this is why. It's just not that good, and there are other ships that do similar things as well or better. To my previous point, I would play the Asturias over this thing any day. Any day. I did much better in that. I think it's much more enjoyable to play. I think it's more consistent. And I think it can do the things that it kind of wants to do better. The Asturias doesn't have amazing AA, so that is a benefit to the Cheshire. But again, you can't guarantee that, so you're just hoping. And against something like a Graf Zeppelin, like, oof, you do not want to be in this thing against like hard AP bombers. I don't think I've faced a Wesser in it, a Vesser out of the handful of matches that I've played. But I assume it's probably the same. I mean, just based on the size of the Citadel, maybe there's enough city on top of the ship that it's not as much of a problem, but yeah, I can imagine it is. So yeah, that's the Cheshire. I don't know. I've played it with a bunch of different builds: Tenant, Fraser, this AL Cheshire, which I think no one plays on Cheshire, but I think is fine. But again, like this West Virginia overmatches me in anything but the the armor belt of the Citadel, but again, because it has that step, like, barely matters. I don't know. I just, ooh, yeah, six hits, you know, one fire, and it's like, oh, DCPs, and I don't know. Just unimpressed. We took up to 105. Ooh, yeah, that one. That's the one. You know, look, I'm pretty well angled there, and again, and have Cheshire with the whatever the French commander is. Like, I am maxed on pin angles, and he still sneaks one in. And it's just the geometry of the ship. It just doesn't play well with getting overmatched. So that's the Cheshire. If you're ever interested in it, you can make it work, but just play something else.